What up, what up, what up? To a special edition of Honest Assholes. This is the one and only, the Messiah, Mr. Vega, holding it down for another episode. You already know what it is, baby. It's that time. Got my brother sitting next to me, Mr. O'Neal, holding it down for another episode. What's good, brother?
What's good, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. Like I said, season 3 has been a lot of work, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of giggles, man.
It's Saturday too, man. So we doing this. You gotta know, so you know it's special.
Yes, definitely.
It's Saturday.
Definitely, man. And that's why I'm here, man, because that's just what it is, man. We always hold it down. We do what we gotta do to make our dreams come true. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I think I should let you introduce my man because that's bro. You know what I'm saying? You part of the squad as well. So I want to give you the honors to introduce bro.
Well, because I was gonna ask you, brother. I appreciate that. I would definitely want to introduce. You know what I'm saying? So, ladies and gentlemen, we have here my older brother, my big brother, my the man that I looked up to coming up as a kid. One of the most smartest people I've ever known. Hell, man. The man that has literally been like my idol growing up. I always wanted to be like him. You know what I'm saying? From physically, mentally, all that stuff, man. So without further ado, my brother Abdullah Kidd, Abdullah Kidd, welcome to the show, man.
I gotta get that back.
Thank you. Yeah, man. Definitely, bro. When bro first told me about the situation what you went through, I automatically, oh yeah, we got to talk to bro, put this out there, man, because that not only now I got to speak for me about this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you feel about it, bro, but like once I read and what bro went through, because I'm always on some anti-government shit. I've always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I seen and read that shit, I was like, it's supposed to be the land of the free, home of the braves, all that other shit y'all tell us. When I got a brother going through something like that,
mm-hmm.
and like I said, this is from what I read. I don't even have a probable cause or evidence to even present this shit. But yet, y'all put my man through all that shit right there. And honestly, bro, it was a tearjerker for me too, man, because every time I hear stuff like that happen to my people, man, it's just like, it goes back to what we always say, man. Black people, we are still slaves to the same old system.
And like, I want to tell the public of what we're actually talking about. Well, you know what? Nah, it basically it deals around the realms of 9/11, and my brother was a material witness to certain aspects of that part. So I would like my brother, you know what I'm saying, from beginning on out, hey, just first off, where you from? How'd you grow up? I know, but the people don't know, how'd you grow up, and then get into when you became a Muslim and furthering.
Like, give an insight of who you are, man. Let people know who you are.
Okay, so I guess the short side is I was born in Wichita, Kansas, and I usually like to tell the people the summary version is that after leaving Wichita, Kansas, I was back and forth between Seattle and LA. And I graduate high school in 1991 and from a suburb just right outside of Seattle. Most people that don't know Seattle, I just tell them Seattle. But the school is in the suburbs in Renton, Washington. So I got a college football scholarship, and I went to I decided to go to the University of Idaho, and I would say probably around year 2, I was doing a research project, and it had kind of like researched some old, religious notions that I had from way back when I was like 17, 18 years old. So in the course of that research project, I became Muslim. It wasn't. I didn't have like a lot of times when people hear about people's stories about becoming Muslim or any other religion for that matter, it's always usually connected to another individual. Well, my case wasn't like that. It was just me, the library, and reading books, and that's where my heart landed, and I've been on that path ever since. Speeding it up, um, being a Muslim, I wanted to know more about my religion. I wanted to learn the Arabic language. So I think in 2001, just before 9/11, I went to Yemen, which is the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula. So I stayed there for about a year, and uh, I, I learned the language, and I came back. 9/11 hit. Oh yeah, I skipped that part. So 9/11 hit while I was there. That's a whole nother story. I don't even want to get into that, but that's a whole what how my experience being American in an Arab country, even though I'm Muslim, uh, and when 9/11 hit, that's a whole nother. It would take some time to go into that of what happened and what I was experiencing at that time. So anyway, um, after 9/11, um, the Yemen at the time was going through political strife, and one part of the government was being controlled by the socialist Ba'ath Party, and so foreign Muslims that were there to learn language or to teach. I was teaching there. I used to teach, and then on my spare time, I would learn Arabic. So it got really tough being there. Um, so I ended up leaving, and I come back to America. When I come back to America, um, instantly weird stuff started happening.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, probably like maybe within a week or two, uh, there was like the phone company came in a weird time. Then at the time, my mother, she was a project manager at IBM, and she worked from home. And so like her phone line started getting interrupted and all kind of weird stuff. Um,
Mm.
Maybe by the third week, the FBI shows up, and me being ignorant of the game, I let them in the house, and I talked to them, and basically, my once he started asking certain questions, I understood what direction he was going in, and my whole thing was to let him know who he was talking to and how I see the world, how I see the world on terror, terrorism, all that. I laid that all out for him to know that this, you're at my house, but I'm not who you're looking for. So, speeding up, life goes on. Uh, I'm working. I'm married, and then I decided, oh yeah, I got offered a scholarship to go study where I'm at now, Saudi Arabia. Because at that particular time, I was on this kind of I won't say a spiritual journey. I would say like I like to read and I like to research. So my mind was intent on trying to be educated Islamic, not just be Muslim, but actually be educated in the religion. So that led me to taking that opportunity when I was offered the scholarship, and I got in the process of going and just speeding the story up. I'm at the airport. I done sold everything. I done sold my car. I done sold everything. Um, so I get to the airport and the FBI arrests me, and that's when this whole process. So the the backstory is that in between the time that I had become Muslim, I had established relationship with Muslims that were on campus because at University of Idaho, there's really not a Muslim community. It's just students.
Yeah.
In the process of that, that's how my name gets, in a summarized version, that's how my name gets mixed up into this situation. Um, and so it was traumatizing for me, you know. I know I haven't done anything. I'm not associated with anybody that's like that. Um,
That's what I wanted to. My bad, bro. That's my man. I didn't want to cut you off. That's because that's what I wanted to kind of bring back. Like, as far as like who you were before being a Muslim, like for them to characterize you as a terrorist before even knowing who you really were.
oh,
Like,
okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, give me like, you know what I'm saying, all around, you know what I'm saying, American athlete. I need all that.
Yeah, because I was about to bring that up. How you how it's stated in your article that you were a football player.
I grew up like everybody, you know. If you know, just tapping in on that, I'm a '70s baby. So if you think about, I told you, I'm saying I'm going back and forth between LA and Seattle since 1977. I'm back and forth between these two places, and so the experiences that a young black male would experience in those two cities is typical. Like when I went to John Burroughs Junior High. I ran for the LA Jets. You know, I played little league football. I was my heart was always in the boxing. I was just good at football, and when my heart was really at boxing, I did mostly everything that everybody else do. And in the crazy thing about it is, uh, if we go back to what was that, 1986, um, the influence of the gangs was weighing on me. I wasn't a gang member type dude, but just being in the environment, uh, you make friends at school. You make friends on the bus. You know, uh, and I think my parents saw that, and that's when they decided to put me back in Seattle. And in Seattle, at the time, by the time I get to Seattle in '87, the gangs are there. So my whole way to stay away from the gang life was hanging on to sports because I know where I was headed in LA. Had I stayed in LA, I'm pretty sure I would have eventually, through peer pressure or through needing protection, I would have joined the gang. I was already getting into situations because of my friends in LA, and so their idea was to bring me back, get me to Seattle, which it was Seattle's built a little bit different. You know, LA's a grid. Seattle's not like a grid, except for like right smack in the heart of Seattle. But we're out in the suburbs. It's not a grid, so you could stay away, and I could just focus on sports. And it was easy, even though I seen the growth of the Crips and Bloods in Seattle, and then many people that died because of it, both Bloods and Crips. Um, some of whom were my very very personal friends. Um, those were like warning signs for me never to go in that direction. And so I just focused on sports, and I had the typical young black male life. I guess you could say at that particular time growing up in the suburbs. I was a
star. That's there. You were not too typical. You were a star. That's a little different. You were a star athlete.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know you being humble. I know you being humble, bro. But look, this is like I said, we out here know, but like this is why, because I want people to understand like the person that you were or are, excuse me, and what they tried to label you as.
Exactly.
So you were a star collegiate athlete, intelligent. So my bad. Go ahead.
No, you absolutely. That's why I need you to keep me on track, because so many years have passed, and different things hit different. You're right. I was I just don't want to run through all those awards, but you're right. I was a star. I was like, I don't know how many times all city champ in track. Was a star on the football field. I was my mom made it so I had to have 3.0 to even play sports. So I was in that class of students, and then being a good athlete, and then being black in the suburbs.
Absolutely.
That even made you more of a star, because you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. You know what I mean? So that's how you're talking about being arrested and not doing anything, and you come from that kind of background. It's very traumatic.
That's exactly.
You're like looking for answers, and there's nobody to really give you the answers. And then the other thing people got to realize how this hit so hard is because of propaganda machine at the time. So if we go back to right after 9/11, by the time I get arrested, it's 2003.
Yeah.
So by now, everybody's brainwashed. Everybody's got their triggers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So even people that I'm talking about friends that I've known since elementary school, even Muslims, this thing that I went through was so eye-opening that it really made me hold true to what I believe in the sense that you made this spiritual journey on your own, and this what you're going through and how you're going to get out of it is tantamount of your faith, because the one would think that, oh, you're a Muslim, so the Muslims don't have your back. Going back to that propaganda machine, and nah, it ain't like that. Everybody trying to look out for themselves, and this incident let me know how powerful propaganda is, to the fact that people that know you, that went through those things that I just described, would still allow the media to change their mind about who you are. That's some cold shit right there.
Right, man.
And mind you, this is before social media. This is 2003.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's crazy.
Yeah. See, I had guys, Eugene, and then I had guys, I'm talking about dudes that I looked up to as a kid. They knew me as a young buck, and they see me go through all of what life was offering me to land in college, and not just to get. I mean, it's one thing to get the scholarship. You got to get there. But then there's another thing to perform and get on the field and play.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was some people like that in my life that, our relationships have never recovered since that moment. And it's all on what?
Propaganda, man.
It's an agenda.
And that's you see, like, and that's crazy, because what he's saying is like that literally happens to every single celebrity or anybody else who who've gone through similar situations, man, or just a smear campaign. That's pretty much what it was. Saying against all Muslims who had a name attached to that incident. So Vince, I think Vince had a kind of question.
Well, for starters, man, when you got arrested at the airport or whatnot, I guess the question I just want to know because it's important to me.
I
How,
didn't hear you.
Yes, we good.
but I was asking the question I wanted to ask is how did it affect you mentally, bro? Like how did it just cause just the fact that all that pressure is on you and you know what I'm saying, and the propaganda and it's around, you know what I'm saying, 2 years after 9/11. So I just wanted to know like how did it affect you mentally, man? Like what did it like do to you mentally?
I'm gonna tell you. You got it was like it's like a bomb. You for, isn't that quite euphemism? You, oh, what happened now? Hold on. I don't know what happened right there, but I lost you guys. You guys can still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it's like you have the impact moment and then you have the aftershock. So when it happened, you don't stop. That's the cool thing about it. So I get arrested. So I know this is a longer way of answering the question. What was my mental state like?
No,
But
I want to hear
that's
it.
the whole thing.
I want to hear it.
I really got to put so I get arrested by the FBI. They take me down to a holding station, and now I get interrogated by some other two FBI agents. Okay, now one of them he running game on me. He running game on me because I don't know. I just think I guess that's part of the game. You know, he's running game on me, telling me, I'm gonna try to finish this up so you can get on your flight. That wasn't true. Anyway, so after that, then I get taken down to uh, Virginia Correctional, Alexandria, Virginia Correctional detention center, something like that. And then they put me in a holding cell. Now the holding cell already got it. I mean, they didn't. Yeah, they put me in a holding cell for 72 hours with this other dude. Then they transfer me to the worst of the worst. This is what people were, I'm hearing pieces of conversation about this shit me to some place called H Pod. This is the worst of the worst.
What the fuck?
When I get down there, uh, everything is very tense because they treat me different. Everybody is. I'm talking about dudes that got 20 years. They're waiting to be shipped off to prison. The dude next to me, he got a double murder and he got convicted to life. The dude that's serving me my meals, he got 21 years for kidnapping his girlfriend and something something. And then you got this booty bandit dude who got all the guards under his thumbnail. So I'm like, I go, this is day 4 now,
Yeah.
and I stay in there for I don't know how many days. But anyway, they take me to this court hearing. Now, I ain't never seen in my life a courtroom with a judge, a U.S. attorney, and U.S. marshals, and that's it. And a stenographer, the person that does the transcript. Ain't nobody else in the courtroom. I ain't got no lawyer, and then they asking me questions. Mind you, I'm being shipped by the U.S. Marshals anytime I go to court. So they got you shackled, you're handcuffed to your waist, and it don't stop there. So then on about the 7th day, they say, "Oh, you got to go." So they chain me up, and they take me out. They put me in this van, and we drive for I don't know how many hours. Then next thing I know, it's like from the movie Con Air. All you got is inmates in rows and lines. You got the dude with with the Hannibal Lecter mask on with two guards around him. I mean, two guards on the side.
Damn.
Man, yeah. So then I'm like, what the heck? And then because again, I keep getting reminded that I'm different. So when I get out of the van, I gotta have four guards around me the whole time, armed guards.
Or
Wow.
And they start reading out names and taking us to get on the plane. So then we get on the plane. And just hearing all the different people's stories, and by the way, how to take off, I ain't never seen no plane take off like that again. I mean, I never seen that in my life. This dude literally was was parked. Did a U did a U-turn and was in the air. He was parked, did a U-turn and was in the air. I'm not joking.
a
And I'm
U-turn.
talking about a full-size plane.
Nigga, what did they think that you were I mean, but I mean all of that? Like who were you you were in the when you flew out, like
And
who were
that's
you, who else was in there with you, like as far as like inmates? Like
plane,
nigga, you
the plane, check this out. We all handcuffed. The plane is full. It's like a 747. Okay, plane is full of inmates. They only got two pilots and three guards, full of inmates. Okay, you got a dude. He was running from the feds. He was like a big time dope dealer. He done hit a truck and knocked his arm off. They sewed it up and put him on the plane. He's leaking. He got blood dripping out his arm.
Damn.
Uh, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. So
That's
then after that, they take me to Oklahoma, and when I'm in the, I see we land into an airport. I'm thinking we going to an airport. Man, we get off the plane. It's a prison.
wow.
what the fuck?
They
I'm
got an
talking
air.
about literally. You know how you get off the plane and there's a that little arm thing, the airwalk or whatever they call it,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
skywalk. Okay, you get on that skywalk and when you get to your inside the building, it's a prison.
Wow.
And so
This shit's only in the movies, bro. I've only heard of this shit in the
That's why
movies.
you see, nigga, I'm glued.
Yeah.
Like,
then check this out. Like I say, they keep on singling me out. So they put us in this room, and I swear, man, if anybody had a problem, we was all we they put us in this small room to where it's like shoulder room. You touch your shoulder, and it's about 80 dudes in there. And finally, you see some people run because there's these two bay windows. You two people run, and they said, "Al Kidd is in there. Get him out of there." And so then I'm like, "What?" So they come and take me and put me in this room by myself. Then they come and then they strip. They take off all my clothes. I'm butt naked. Now, mind you, where they do this is a processing. So everybody in there has to go to this woman at a desk with it, and she calls out their name or whatever, and they do this little face scan thing, and it's like they're getting checked in or whatever. And these dudes got on clothes. So I'm like, hold on, man, these dudes is, and some of these names are recognizable. These is federal crimes be making the news. So I'm like, oh, that's old boy, and that's old boy. Um, I'm not talking about these dudes got some dudes got life, they got clothes. I ain't got no clothes and I ain't charged with no crime. And I was like that for hours. So then they take me to a cell, armed guards. We inside. Now you know Gene what Pops did. Man, come on, you know what Pops did for a living. I
Yeah.
know Pops didn't have no arm. Man, they walking me to my cell armed, clutching their shotgun. They're armed. I'm being armed, escorted to the cell. And I stayed, and now when I was there, again, they put me to the worst of the worst in that prison. That prison was that section that I was in is called the special housing unit. Man, the dude next to me had 73 years, man. Another dude in that part had like 100 and some years, man.
Oh my God.
Okay, so this is where I'm at, right? Um, and I end up staying the night there. Then they come get me armed, and then they put me on like a private jet. It costs like, I remember the dude told me, the U.S. Marshal just got this. This is $10.1 million private jet. Had leather seats in it. Private jet. 5 inmates. We made like 4 stops every. Yeah, I was the last stop. I was the last stop. So we had to stop all different kind of places on that little private jet. And so yeah, they had like uh probably like 5 or 6 guard. No, 5 or 6, including the pilot and the co-pilot, and then the inmates. And then when I get to Boise, Idaho, they put me in a room. This wasn't even a cell. It's like this big old room. It's like they call it the fishbowl because it's 24-hour lights and big old bay glass windows. It's like being in a fish aquarium. Big old glass, 24-hour lights with a camera on you, and they got a TV and a phone in there. That's it. And I stayed like that for 8 days. You
Damn.
know, and so when you talk about how I was feeling, bro, so the whole thing, I get out after 16 days. So
Yeah.
that whole thing right there, it was a roller coaster, man, because it kept coming and coming and coming with something different. Then when I get out, now I'm dealing with a whole nother bag of worms. You know what I mean? Because my reputation is destroyed.
Man, I was gonna ask
Every
you.
single every single media outlet ran that story. Um, they ran it on ESPN, because I was a college football player. So it 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 it, it gets destroyed, and really, without going into too much details, at the time of my uh because I divorced that woman I was with at that time, but it ruined who I was in her eyes and her family's eyes. So I was dealing with that. Then it's just part of. I won't get so specifically detailed, but this will tell you what kind of stress I was going through. But there is I'll just say we have over 40 documented cases. It's way higher than that, but I'll just say over 40 documented cases where a company was hiring, and I would apply for a job, and either I would get hired, but before I would show up to work for the first day, I would get fired. You know, or I don't know if you can even call that getting fired, but
Yeah.
over. So even as I'm trying to just put life back together, I'm getting hit from every different angle. Some of my old people that I love and respected, they don't want to mess with me. They don't want to deal with me. My family life is falling apart. I can't.
I was
I'm
gonna
trying
ask
to
you.
get a job. So even still, at this particular moment, because now we're getting from 2003 to 2004, it's still a roller coaster, right? I ain't got off the ride all the way yet. And so once we get from 2004 to 2005, this period of time, that's when the effects of all of that start to affect me. Um, nightmares, um, nightmares, heart palpitations, um,
Yeah.
uh, I used to have moments where I wasn't doing nothing or thinking about nothing, and I would just boom cry. I would have a cry. It was like an explosion. I'm like, dang, where did that come from? I wasn't thinking about nothing. I would just boom cry, and so all of that was continuous. The heart palpitations continued for a long time. I would say probably until about 2007. So you talking about 4 years later, and the nightmares stopped since I've been here. I would say the nightmares probably stopped probably around 2011. And let me tell you these nightmares, because the nightmares are like movies. It's not a nightmare that what we might typically think. It's like my brain and my soul knows that I'm innocent. So it concocts these different scenarios of a person being innocent yet being pursued or being charged with something they didn't do. So I used to have this that reoccurring theme of dreams, and I would always wake up, crying, or if I wouldn't wake up crying, I would wake up like agitated. Like if you've ever been, I'm telling too much about myself. If you ever been chased before,
Oh, you good. That's what you're supposed to.
you know
Yeah.
that heart pumping feeling that you like. You've been chased or you've been frightened or you're
So
in a state of panic.
Yeah.
So I used to wake up like that, from those, and they probably started, like I said, around 2011, and those. So that was really my mental state. If you were around me talking to me, um, you would see that I was agitated. As the years go by, you could see that I had triggers. I tried my best to just, I didn't have any like real dark, depressive thoughts that one might typically have. I had a lot of sadness. You know, my thing was more about, um, okay, the government gonna do what he do. Okay, if we know American history, government gonna do what he do. You ain't gonna stop that.
yeah.
The thing that probably traumatized me the most is just to know that really when when shit hits the fan, a lot of times if you ain't solid internally, you might fall apart, because if you expecting others to be there for you, it might not be. They might not be.
Where
You
did
know, you gotta be grounded yourself to go through some shit like that.
in that during that process, man, like in my head, I'm like, I know I'm not built like this, but I know I would have had thoughts of like, and see, like you my brother, so I'm like, okay, so I'm very sure my brother probably thought this way, but he just not built this way. Like nigga, I just want to give up, man. Like I keep like this shit suck. Like I don't know what's going to happen next tomorrow.
Oh,
I don't know if I gotta have to fuck it. My bad. And I don't know if I'm gonna have to fight somebody in this cell or have to fight one of these guards. Like I don't know what I'm gonna have to do. And then after that, I don't know where my mind's like. How fucked am I? You know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, I didn't, you're right. I'm not built like that, but um, I tell you, a lot of the dudes that I did communicate that are what that you know, uh, they was in my corner from day one when they heard about this. One of them told me, he's like, man, he's like, man, I would have checked out, bro. I was like, I said, I'm not gonna say I feel you, but I'm just not built like that, because my brain can't doesn't look for that as a solution. Um, I was just I don't know, when I did the documentary in 2012, Eugene, I stayed. at the house when we filmed that. We
Right.
filmed that in LA. One of that's the documentary is unreleased. But one of the things that I said is, I guess part of that football mentality where all the cards can be stacked against you, but you're still trying to find a way to win. I think that in my faith, and I don't claim to be the most religious man. I'm not. I'm just a regular dude that just happens to be Muslim. I chose that as my spiritual path. I'm by no means a perfect individual, um, or claim that, or to even try to portray that. But I could say that my faith and my that football thing is kind of like a brainwashing. I'm kind of like brainwashed from football in some aspect. So giving up wasn't an option.
Facts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Giving up wasn't an option. I'm just I just was in survival mode. That's all I can say. It just comes with a lot of injury, man. You know what I'm saying? When you endured something like that, you didn't deserve it. You're innocent. That comes with injury, especially you know. See, a lot of one thing I learned about this in life is reality versus expectation.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of times we'll live in the expectation and we're not dealing with reality. So a lot of times I had to understand that there's people that I love and respect and I enjoy spending time with, but they wouldn't messing with me like that. I was, you know what I mean? Because and even one dude told me, one of my older friends told me this. He said, "You're a very sincere friend, but I don't know if your friends are that sincere to you." And this experience taught me that lesson. It taught me that lesson because if if we live in the expectation and not deal with reality, or be blinded, allow ourselves to be blinded from reality, we can put ourselves in relationships that don't need to be. I mean, we can put a status to a relationship that it doesn't qualify at. And this situation definitely taught me that life lesson because like going back to when I was telling you, I was thinking I was gonna get a lot of support from the Muslims. The first person that called my mama was my Italian homeboy, Brian Lombardi. I gotta give shout out to Brian Lombardi, be love. He called my mama crying.
Wow.
And then the dude I went to church with, Juan Lawrence, he's the second person that called my mama. Okay, so that's 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 my people. You see what I'm saying? So those incidents tell you who you really touch, whose lives you really touch, who the value that they have for you. You know what I mean? I think prior to this situation, I was just kind of happy go lucky with relationships because I'm a social person. I can get along with anybody, and I'm easy to make friends with. So I had a lot of people that I consider friends and people that I consider brothers in faith, which they're still brothers in faith, but I know that it's not like it's not like it's not like what I expect.
Right.
Reality is something different. The reality is totally different. So I learned that I had to. God put me in. I don't want to be too religious for you know your audience, but I just believe that God put me in this situation to teach me these lessons. Like like I used to hear in the streets, it was real popular in the streets. They used to say, God takes you through it to get you to it. So I had to go through that to come to this level of awareness about many things. See, I learned about, oh man, that's a whole nother thing. When you talk about what this did to me emotionally, understanding that people under pressure will lie, inform, wear a wire, write a statement on you. Under pressure, under the squeeze, I'm going to tell you, most ain't willing to stand strong. But this case tells you a person that I'm not going to say I'm just like the king of the streets or something like that, but I tell you what, I stood on my 10 toes. That's documented in this case. Okay? I did nothing but stand on the truth the whole time. From the time they came to my house, from the time they arrested me, and the aftermath. I always, excuse me, I'm gonna get a drink of water. I stood on my truth, you know, and so
Do you still have like even after you've been, because like, well, I don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead and so to really finish out the case, I want you to talk about like that something that happened a few years ago.
say that again.
I said so to pretty much to end out the case.
Right.
What exactly happened and where did it stand with you and as far as like your stance with other people, with people now knowing that they know that like they knew that now that they know that you had nothing to do with it. They knew that, you know what I'm saying, like the government had to end up, you know what I'm saying, you know, doing certain things for you in order to make things right. So I want you to, are there any people that still believe what they believe, or have things changed?
Well, I'm not gonna ever speak for those people, but basically what happened was after I got released, I was put on a form of house house arrest, what they call pretrial conditions,
Which is whack.
and I was on that for like 14 months, and then the trial happened. The case, the case in which they said I was a material witness for, and they didn't call me. They're quoted in the media saying that I would have been a hostile witness. Um, when but in my lawsuit, we got the deposition from the FBI is that this man had no information, which is why my lawsuit went forward. I had no information, period. I mean, I had nothing, period. So anyway, let's speed up to I think around. So yeah, I don't get called as a witness in the case. The guy who's the being charged with crime, he gets acquitted. He wins his case, and then now I'm scrambling to put my life together because you guys ruined my life based on this case. Based on this case, you said I was a material witness to. Then it turns out the guy wins his case, and I didn't have no information for you. But I still got to repair my life. So I would say somewhere around 2004, a guy in New York was reading. He was working in his office and he was reading about my case, and it brought him to tears. So he called. He knew of a lawyer that worked in the ACLU. Sent him my case, and then they flew out to Vegas. I was living in Vegas at the time. They flew out to Vegas and interviewed me, and they said, "Yeah, we'd like to take this case." And then from 2004 to 2015, man, it was a back and forth, war with the government. Basically, they weren't trying to give up no money. Uh, And the thing about it is, to answer that other part of the question, Eugene, is they don't never like to admit that they're wrong. But I'll tell you something that's very interesting about this case. Now, some of the propaganda, I say it's propaganda because it juiced up and justified what they were doing to people. One of the people that they had on the terror watch list, his name is mentioned in the case that they had against the guy who got acquitted. Okay, that name shows up in those, because they allege that he created two websites for this guy. So at that time, this guy was on the terror watch list. How you think they feel about that guy in 2022? They are advocating for him, saying that he is unjustly, he's a victim of freedom of speech because he's in prison in the country I'm in right now. So you see how it's a game, man. You use the guy, you put them on the terrorist to get to do all this stuff. But now he's cool. He's not a, how would he get on the terror watch list at that time? But now he's cool. And then you got his son can come to America and go from zero to a hero in America. How does that work?
Wow. Now he's a damn humanitarian.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, man, it's. I mean, there's so many. This thing is so layered. There's so many directions this conversation can go in, but I'm not gonna go there. But I'm just saying, it's so ironic that you use. Well, let me take that back. They put an agenda in place, and then just people got to play their part in the machine. So at the time, that's why my lawsuit went to the Supreme Court against John Ashcroft, because he was the guy that put the infrastructure in place. He put the law in place. You know, it's like we got a quote on the documentary that didn't get released. This senator saying it's like, now we're gonna take the gloves off. In this war on terror, we've been having our gloves on. We're taking our gloves off now. You know, so those policies were put in place, and it allowed the people underneath that to just do whatever, man. You know, this one thing. You know, another maybe in the future, you know, episode, if you guys ever want to talk about
Definitely.
The situation with a lot of these young rappers today getting these RICO cases, because when I be seeing this stuff, I'm like, man, they don't know how the feds work. When I be seeing little cases of these dudes, these rap dudes be getting caught up in some of the stuff they're doing on social media, they don't understand. They don't understand how the feds work. It's clear that they don't understand how the feds work. And I'm not saying that you're supposed to know, but ignorance is never an excuse in the court of law. So if you're out there in the limelight and you got something to lose, there's a certain way you got to move. Certain way you got to move. And anyway, I'm sorry, I got a little.
It's all good, bro.
Truth, bro.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Man, this did it turn out?
Bro, this is a great because there's a lot of stuff you talked about, brother. I didn't know. I had no idea.
Because I could tell the faces that me and you had, like who was watching.
I had no idea.
He never knew.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a whole bunch of stuff, man. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
And I still feel like there's a lot of stuff that's been left out, but I know we only have like a short amount of time. But right, like I really feel like there's a lot of stuff you can really go into detail with.
Definitely.
Yeah, because like I say, it's so layered, man. And, you know.
But this was like a real good insight of who you are, bro. Like seriously what you went through, and knowing how they know your background, and then for you to get labeled like that and having to go through that yeah, man. And I salute you from being strong, man, and holding on, man. Like seriously, bro, because a lot of brothers would have broke down. And just
Well, I appreciate it, man. But um,
Would you come back? And I'm not I'm saying, I'm asking this now as a brother and as on the show, like, what's your takes on coming back to America? And if you did, what would be what would be the stipulations for you?
Yeah, of course I would. Absolutely. I wouldn't have to have no stipulations. Really, the only reason why I left in 2008 is just because I was spinning my wheels. I was running that school in Wichita, and it was a great job. It was a great job. I just was spinning my wheels financially, and the opportunity came to teach in the university over here, and I went for it. You know what I mean? So it was a financial decision to come over here, and also spiritual decision because this is I'm in close to Mecca and Medina, these two holy places for Muslims all over the world. So it was a no-brainer at the time. I was fighting the case. And by the way, at the time that I left in 2008, stuff was still going on behind the scenes. Those are some of those things that behind the scenes stuff I can't really talk about because those things aren't part of the lawsuit. Everything I told you today is part of the lawsuit. It's kind of sticky. It's kind of sticky talking about stuff. Um, it's kind of sticky. Uh, did I change the minds of those people? I don't know. Obviously, I did. I mean, they part of my lawsuit, they had to write an apology. So on paper, but you never know. And that's why I brought up the situation where the dude he was on the terror list, but now they over here, indirectly supporting him now. So I mean, you just never know. The agenda change. You could be one day you're a friend, one day you're an enemy, another day you're an ally. You never know.
Yeah. Well,
But at the end of the day, I came into this world as a black man, and we all know what history says.
right.
oh,
And that's what will probably keep my black ass maybe away from America.
so
maybe want to come visit, or how about get
Hey,
the house out there and come every few months. Either way, bro. I miss you, man. I love you.
God bless you, man. You're always welcome.
yeah. Hey, honestly, man, I really want to thank you, bro, for coming out, bro. This has been a dope episode, bro. Like seriously, man. Like your energy, man. Like you came in humble. I didn't even know you got the whole football background and all that. So that's dope, man. I really want to thank you for coming out, man. Like this was a dope episode.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell the story, man. That's one of the biggest things that I've been wanting to do. So I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, man. I can't wait to put this episode out, man.
Yes.
Cause it's some shit that saying our parents don't know nothing about. At least I know they don't know because they didn't tell me. So, and I don't remember reading none of this like stuff in detail in any of the articles that I read about you. So, and I think like people should really understand like what was really going on when it came to the situation. Yeah, like America was still like trying to figure out what was going on during that situation, but the ways that they were doing it and just literally just gathering innocent people, and not and then not giving any type of like restitution until years and years later when damage has been
right.
done damn
Right.
near to unrepairable. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
You're right.
certain people like yourself who are resilient to be able to get out of that shit. It's good to hear that, and like it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying, to hear that story. That's why I said I always like when you told me that beforehand, I was like, yeah, this got to get out. Somebody got to hear this.
And shout out to Mr. Kidd. He said he love y'all both in the comments.
Right? Was it that right there?
Yeah. But yeah, man, it was dope. It was I gotta give you credit, man. You put this together, my dude. So this was definitely a dope episode, man. And thank y'all for tuning in.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Pops. Love y'all. We're gonna bring bro back. He got a lot to tell. This was dope, man. It was very dope.
Yeah.
So one for the books, man. Thank you for coming out, my brother. Another edition of Honest Honest Assholes, episode 21. Let's get it, baby. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah.